The scream of the dry faucet hit me like a punch to the gut. I stood in my kitchen, the morning sun slicing through the blinds, casting sharp shadows on the linoleum floor. My coffee pot sat empty, the kettle silent, and the sink a mocking, arid crater. I twisted the knob again, harder, as if sheer will could summon water. Nothing, not a drip. Outside, my neighbor Karen's sprinklers danced, spraying arcs of crystal water across her manicured lawn, the kind of green that screams money and obsession. My blood boiled. I'd been in this HOA-controlled suburb for 6 months, and Karen, the self-appointed queen of the neighborhood, had already made my life hell. Now this, no water. I grabbed my phone, the plastic case creaking under my grip, and stormed outside, the summer heat already sticking my shirt to my back. Karen's house sat across the cul-de-sac, a McMansion with columns that looked like they were trying too hard. Her sprinklers hissed rhythmically, a taunting soundtrack to my rage. I marched over, my sneakers slapping the asphalt, and pounded on her door. The chime echoed inside, pompous and overdone. She opened it, her blonde bob flawless, her smile as fake as the HOA's community spirit. "Oh, hi, Nate," she chirped, her voice dripping with condescension. "Something wrong?" "You know damn well what's wrong," I snapped, pointing at my house. "My water's cut off, and yours is running like Niagara Falls. What did you do?" Her eyes widened, all mock innocence, but I caught the flicker of a smirk. "Me? I'd never. Maybe you didn't pay your bill." She tilted her head, her pearl earrings glinting. I wanted to scream. I paid every bill, jumped through every HOA hoop, endured her nitpicking about my fence height, my mailbox color, even the way I parked my truck. But this was war. I spent the morning on the phone with the utility company, my voice hoarse by the end. The clerk's bored tone only fueled my fury. "Sir, your pipeline was rerouted. It's now feeding into the HOA's shared system." Rerouted? I hadn't signed off on that. The clerk mumbled something about HOA authorization and hung up. I stood in my living room, the silence heavy, the air smelling faintly of stale coffee and desperation. My hands shook as I pulled up the HOA bylaws on my laptop. There it was, buried in fine print. The board could approve infrastructure adjustments without resident consent. Karen was the board president. Of course, I wasn't a lawyer, but I wasn't an idiot either. I drove to the county records office, the AC in my truck barely keeping up with the August swelter. The clerk there, a guy named Dave with a mustache that looked like it belonged in a 70s cop show, pulled the utility maps. His finger traced a line on the blueprint, his brows furrowing. "This ain't right," he muttered, his drawl thick. "Your pipeline's been diverted to the HOA's main line. No permit. No notice. That's illegal as hell." My heart pounded, a mix of vindication and rage. Dave handed me a copy of the map, his eyes sympathetic. "Good luck, man. HOAs are vipers." Back home, I sat on my porch, the evening crickets screaming, the air thick with the scent of Karen's roses across the street. I could still hear her sprinklers, relentless, mocking. My mind raced. I wasn't rich, but I'd saved enough from my construction business to make moves. I'd built houses from the ground up, fought contractors, navigated permits. If Karen thought she could bully me into submission, she'd picked the wrong guy. Then, like a bolt from the sky, it hit me. The utility company. It was private, small, and struggling. I'd seen their financials in a local business journal barely breaking even. An idea sparked, dangerous and wild. The next morning, I called my accountant, Sarah, a no-nonsense woman who'd helped me dodge tax headaches for years. "Nate, you're insane," she said, her voice crackling through the phone. "Buying a utility company, that's millions." But she ran the numbers anyway, her calculator clicking like a machine gun. By noon, she had a plan, I'd liquidate some investments, take a loan, and leverage my business assets. It was a gamble, but the thought of Karen's smug face crumbling kept me going. I met with the utility company's owner, a tired old man named Harold who smelled of cigars and regret. He was ready to retire, and my offer cash. Quick. No haggling made his eyes light up. We shook hands. The deal sealed in a stuffy office that reeked of burnt coffee. Weeks later, I owned the damn company. The paperwork was a nightmare, but every signature felt like a middle finger to Karen. I kept it quiet. Didn't tell a soul in the neighborhood. I wanted the reveal to hit like a freight train. But first, I needed proof. I hired a private investigator. A wiry guy named Marco with a knack for digging up dirt. He was expensive, but worth it. Marco tailed the HOA board, hacked into their emails, don't ask me how, and found gold. A thread between Karen and the board's treasurer, plotting to divert my water to save costs on the HOA's community garden. Nate's knew. Karen had written, "He won't notice." My fists clenched so hard my knuckles cracked. I noticed. Then came the curveball. Marco uncovered something else. Karen wasn't just screwing me over. She'd been skimming HOA funds for years, funneling money into her own accounts through fake landscaping contracts. The community garden, a front, her roses, her sprinklers, her perfect lifeite was all built on lies. I sat in my truck, the engine idling, the smell of diesel faint in the air, and let out a long, shaky breath. This wasn't just about my water anymore. This was about justice. I planned my move like a chess game. Step 1. Fix my pipeline. I sent a crew to my property. And by nightfall, water roared through my faucets again. The sound like a victory cry. Step 2. The HOA meeting. It was held in the community center. A sterile room that smelled of bleach and bad decisions. Karen stood at the podium, her voice syrupy as she droned on about neighborhood standards. I waited in the back, my heart thumping, the folded utility map burning a hole in my pocket. When she opened the floor for comments, I stood. "Karen," I said, my voice steady but loud enough to make heads turn. "Care to explain why my water pipeline was illegally diverted to your system?" The room went silent, the hum of the AC the only sound. Her smile faltered, just for a second. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said, but her voice cracked. I held up the map, the evidence clear as day, and walked to the front, laying it on the table. Whispers erupted. Karen's face turned the color of her overpriced wine. "That's not all," I said, my voice rising, the anger I'd bottled up for months spilling out. "You've been stealing from the HOA. Fake contracts. Embezzlement." I dropped Marco's report on the table, pages fanning out like a deck of cards. The room exploded. Gasps, shouts, someone yelling. "What the hell?" Karen stammered, her hands fluttering like trapped birds. "This is outrageous," she cried, but no one was listening. Her reign was crumbling, and I wasn't done. "Effective today," I said, my voice cutting through the chaos. "I own the utility company, and guess what? Rates are going up. For everyone." I paused, locking eyes with Karen. "Especially for those who break the law." The crowd roared, some cheering, some cursing, but I didn't care. I'd hit her where it hurt, her wallet, her pride, her control. The fallout was swift. The county launched an investigation, and Karen's empire unraveled. Auditors found thousands in misappropriated funds. She was forced to resign from the HOA. Her house listed for sale within weeks. I heard she moved to a condo downtown. Her sprinklers a distant memory. My water bill, zero. I made sure of that. As I stood on my porch that night, a cool breeze carrying the scent of fresh-cut grass, I felt something shift inside me. It wasn't just about winning. It was about standing up, about fighting for what's right, even when the odds seem impossible. The stars blinked above. The crickets sang. And for the first time in months, I breathed easy. Justice doesn't always come cheap. But damn, feels good.